Good afternoon and welcome to the March Ordinary Council meeting. Item 1, acknowledgement. We, Greater Shepparton City Council, acknowledge the Yorta Yorta peoples of the land which now comprises Greater Shepparton. We pay respect to their tribal elders, we celebrate their continuing culture and we acknowledge the memory of their ancestors. Item 2, privacy notice. This public meeting is being streamed live via our Facebook page and made available for public access on our website along with the official minutes of this meeting. All care is taken to maintain your privacy. However, as a visitor in the public gallery, it is assumed that your consent is given in the event that your image is broadcast to the public. It is also assumed that your consent is given to the use and disclosure of any information that you share at the meeting, including personal or sensitive information to any person who accesses those recordings or minutes, and we welcome members in the gallery this afternoon as well. Item 3, governance principles. Council considers that the recommendations contained in this agenda gives effect to the overarching governance principles stated in section 9.2 of the Local Government Act 2020. These principles are as follows. Listed 1 to 9 on page 6 of the agenda. Item 4, apologies. No apologies today. Item 5, declarations of conflict of interest. Councillors, do we have any conflicts today?
Yes, Mayor Sarley, I have a conflict of interest in item 11.2, being the Tatura Precinct Structure Plan staging. Material conflict with one of the landowners who I received a previous donation from.
Thank you. Do we have any other conflicts?
Yes. I will declare a conflict with item 10.3, contracts awarded under delegation. One of the contracts that has been awarded is for a company that I worked for around the project being awarded, so I'll step out of the room.
Okay, any other conflicts, councillors? No, very good. Item 6, confirmation of previous minutes. Are any of the minutes opposed? No, can I have a councillor move that, please?
Move that the minutes of the 24 February 2026 council meeting as circulated be confirmed.
Thank you. Can I have someone second that?
So done, Mayor Sarley.
Thank you, Councillor Schubert. Councillors, all in favour? Carried. Item 7, public question time. I'll now hand over to our CEO, Fiona Legasic.
Sally, we have received 2 questions as per the governance rules. They have been accepted. So the particular questions were submitted by Rowan Farron Parnell, and I acknowledge Rowan, who is with us today. So there are 2 questions, but there will be a collective response. So the first question is, when can we expect for a release of the plans for the next stage of the McLennan Streetscape plan to the public? And subsequently, as per this request, copies provided to the committee for consideration and consultation with constituents. Question 2, provided the prior response, when is it anticipated that this will be delivered in the capital budget for the business owners, workers, residents and visitors? No. So as I said, this is a collective response. McLennan Street Landscape Concept Plan was endorsed by Council at the Ordinary Council meeting on the 16th of August 2016. The concept plan divided McLennan Street into 8 blocks, allowing the project to be delivered in stages as funding became available. Blocks 3, 5 and 7 are the remaining sections to be completed, with Block 5 already having a detailed design completed and costed. All 3 blocks are included in the Council's 10-year capital works program. The anticipated construction times, subject to Council's budget approval process, are as follows. Block 5 in 28-29 financial year, Block 7 32 to 33 financial year, and Block 3 in 34, 35 and 35-36 financial year. Blocks 3 and 7 will each require 1 year for design, with construction to be undertaken in the following years subject to funding. Both blocks will require additional consultation and refinement before seeking approval of the detailed designs from the Department of Transport and Planning and other relevant authorities. Council will continue to work closely with stakeholders and the community when these projects are due for delivery to help achieve the planned outcomes and create attractive public spaces for the town of Mooroopna.
Thank you. Item 8, deputations and petitions now received. Over the page 8, item 9.1, Shepparton East Community Action Plan. There's a recommendation. Councillor, put that forward as a motion. Councillor Akers.
Happy that the council note the Shepparton East Community Action Plan 25 as attached.
Thank you. Can I have a councillor second that motion? Councillor Wickham. Councillor Akers, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mayor Sarley. Greater Shepparton City Council does support local community groups in the development of community plans tailored to the interest and needs of small towns, localities and their neighbourhoods. And these plans represent community priorities and foster a sense of ownership and empowering community members to take a proactive role in shaping the future of their area. The Shep East Community Planning Group was first established in 2015 and remained active until 2020, and then in 2024, with the support of Council, the group was reactivated and continues in its efforts advocating for the needs of the community. And we probably should recognise Mr Chris Davies, who came in as chair and sadly passed away last year, and recognise the work of Lexi and Sarah to really a young couple out there keeping this community group going and giving it some energy. The current plan group consists of members of the Shep East area, the Men's Shed, the Recreation Reserve, the Community Asset Committee, sporting clubs, the primary school and kinder, the CFA and other local businesses and community members that are interested, and it is good. I go out there to about every second meeting that they have. They've set some goals, and it's probably appropriate to highlight some of their highest priorities for the coming period, that being to enhance child road and pedestrian safety, improve footpath and shared paths, to upgrade the community buildings and assets and include drainage and sewerage infrastructure in the area, strengthen community engagement through events and advocate for a public toilet in Shep East. And the last high priority was improve recreational spaces in the area. So I'll leave it at that, and once again commend and thank the committee for working for the Shep East area.
Councillor, would you like to speak to the motion?
Just to say that it's great to see Council supporting these vibrant community plans.
Councillors that would like to speak against the motion? Councillors like to speak for the motion? Councillor Brophy.
Thank you, Mayor Sarley. Just reiterating what Councillor Akers had said, but also hats off to Lexi and Sarah, who came in and briefed us and gave us a real understanding that something was lying dormant in a hiatus for several years. Council support up and running, but two mums who were sitting around at the kitchen table, let's get it. The passion that they had in presenting to us, and it really cemented that they took community ownership, they took pride in their region, and really to make sure that their background facilities, their infrastructure and development is at the forefront, and it's not just being left to others to do. So I really do commend the community action plan group as well. Welcome.
Any other councillors like to speak to the motion? Go to the vote. All those in favour? Motion carried, unopposed. Page 13, item 9.2, Dookie Community Action Plan. Can I have a councillor?
Yeah, I'm happy to move that.
Motion. Thank you, councillor Akers.
That Council note the Doogie Community Action Plan 2026 is attached.
Can I have a councillor second that motion? Councillor Wickham. Councillor Akers, would you like to speak to the motion?
Well, this group, this week anyway, I understand there might be a name change next week, but the Dookie and District Development Forum, as they've been known, was established in 2002 and aims to bring the community together to identify, understand and advocate Dookie's future goals and priorities. A very active group, meet most months, with once again a broad cross-section of the community involved. The group are engaged with the local community. They've put together a plan, a 2026 plan. They've used social media to negotiate and consult with the community, local newspapers and letter drops. They've consulted on a one-on-one basis with local clubs and organisations, and they had a community barbecue. And the findings from this engagement process have formed the foundation of the community, the Dookie Community Action Plan 2026. It's aligned with the previous, I guess, 5 pillars that they've identified, and that being social and identifying projects and events that increase social connectedness in the town, looking at economic aspects, actions that can stimulate the local economy and drive business. Built, which is buildings, facilities and services that are important to continue the wellbeing and growth of the Dookie area. The natural environment, ways in which they can increase the enjoyment of Dookie's natural environment, and advocacy, promoting community interests through active engagement and representation. And just to quickly highlight some of their highest priorities for the Dookie community in this plan is increased activity at Dookie College campus, incorporating in consultation with the local community, the development of the Dookie website, delivering of community support services, overnight parking for RV vehicles and other opportunities to improve visitation to Dookie, and I'm sure council will get that one moving soon, won't they, Fern?
Oh, yeah.
And support and maintain local businesses, promote and support Dookie Arts Project, a very strong arts group out there in Dookie, and they're going to, amongst other things, continue to advocate for the Stage 3 rail trail, Dookie Rail Trail, which we haven't come up with a grant to, which we had in this year's budget. But that's a list of the things that Dookie Development Forum have as priorities for the coming period.
Councillor Akers, Councillor Wickham, would you like to speak to the motion? Would any councillors like to speak against the motion? Any councillors like to speak for the motion?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Saleh. Look, the only comment I'd make with both community action, it's very good for the representative group to sit down here in front of councillors and give us a more in-depth view and understanding of what they're progressing to. So I really appreciate that practice, and I hope that practice continues. Thanks.
Other councillors that would like to speak to the motion? Vote, all those in favour? Motion carried, unopposed. Page 18, item 10.1, privacy policy. There is a recommendation. Can I have a councillor put that forward as a motion, please? Councillor Spinks.
I'll move that the council adopt the privacy policy as attached.
Thank you. Can I have a councillor second that motion, please?
Second that, Mayor Saleh.
Councillor Spinks, would you like to speak to the motion?
Sure, it's pretty boring, so I get why no one wanted to jump up and do it. But it's basically an administrative policy. It is important that we make sure we are protecting the privacy of people's information when it is coming through our organisation. But this is simply an update with some additional points to the policy. Reading directly from the papers, it is minor revisions now proposed to improve accuracy and remove outdated provisions, including changes such as removing references to the Council's provision of aged care services, the addition of a dot point to better inform the community about Council's disclosure of personal information for the purpose of the Child Information Sharing Scheme, the Family Violence Information Sharing Scheme and Child Link, and addition of a dot point advising the community that Council may disclose personal information in response to a court order. Pretty dry material, but very important to make sure we maintain that safety of material through the organisation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Spinks. Councillor Eddy, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, I think Councillor Spinks covered that quite well.
Thank you. Any councillors like to speak against the motion? Any councillors like to speak for the motion? Those in favour? Motion carried, unopposed. Page 20, item 10, revocation of the Freedom of Information Bill. Say revocation of the Freedom of Information Policy. There is a recommendation. Can I have a councillor motion, please?
Thank you, Mayor Saleh. I put forward that the council revoke the Freedom of Information Policy as attached.
Thank you. Can I have a councillor second that motion? Brophy, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Saleh. Just to allay any fears, the Freedom of Information Act is still intact. If this is just a policy the council had. And following a scheduled review of the Freedom of Information Policy, it was determined that this is no longer necessary, as information it contains is already made available by council in other formats. The application of this policy will remove unnecessary duplication of information, which is not required to be maintained in a policy format. It's really about expediency, it's about efficiency and the removal of duplications. We ask for that through our council officers all the time, that we want those things, and the safeguards are still intact. The Act itself, the Freedom of Information Act of 1982, has had, last looking at it, it was 15 versions since our particular policy was enacted. So 15 versions, and they've been superseded all the way through. So I think everyone can be rest assured that if they want to obtain freedom of information, they can still do so.
Thank you. Councillor Spinks, would you like to speak to the motion?
Just to reiterate, I think it's important enough to need reiterating that this is simply a redundant policy. The ability to access freedom of information is not optional, so the community absolutely still have that ability as needed. This is simply a administrative process to remove a policy that is not required and is, again, redundant, so.
Any councillors like to speak against the motion? Any councillors like to speak for the motion? We'll go to the vote. Favour? Motion carried and opposed. Page 22, item 10.3, contracts awarded under delegation, February 2026. Note that councillor.
Yes, Ms. Sally, I will declare my interest and leave the room.
So councillors, 10.3, contracts awarded under delegation, February 2026. There is a recommendation. Can I have a councillor put that forward? Motion, please.
I'm happy to move
Lakers.
that the council note the contracts awarded under delegation pursuant to a formal procurement process for the reporting period, and 2, note the requests for tender advertised but not yet awarded.
Second that motion, please. Councillor Reddy. Councillor Akers, would you like to speak to the motion?
Oh, look, it's good to see there's a few contracts being awarded and some out to tender. Always happy to highlight the provision of Queensland fruit fly trapping grid services. I mean, it's something we've had to work very hard to maintain in Greater Shepparton, and a lot of advocacy and lobbying's gone in with the state government and other councils, and to get to the position we have, and that's our contribution, and good to see that the service there's being maintained by Ag and Vet. And of course, a couple of contracts, well, we're looking forward to somebody coming back to us with some hard waste solutions, and we look forward to that over the coming period.
Councillor Reddy, would you like to speak to the motion?
To say, very pleased to see that the Queensland fruit fly program will be continuing.
The other councillors like to speak against the motion? Any speak for the motion? Motion carried and opposed. I'll get Spinks back in.
Out there.
Council, page 25, item 10.4, February 2026 monthly financial report. There is a recommendation. Can I have a councillor put that for the motion, please? Sorry,
Let council note the February 2026 monthly financial report is attached.
Can I have a councillor second that motion, please? Councillor Brophy.
Second that motion, Mayor Sally.
Councillor Akers, would you like to?
Well, thanks, Mayor Sally. This one wasn't too exciting. Pretty much on budget, a bit more comfortable this month than last, so which was good to see. The underlying result is an adjusted surplus of 26.2 million, which is 820,000, or 3% less than the year-to-date Q2 forecast review, so not too far out. As the financial year progresses, Council's projecting a full-year adjusted underlying surplus of now $3 million. The improvement to the projected full-year position compared to the adopted budget and Q2 review is mostly due to additional revenue arising from higher enforcement activity and a reduction in some software licences. Capital Works is not too far off. We've delivered 33.17 million of the 25-26 Capital Works program to date. The full year forecast is for 73.4, which is down 1.3 million compared to the Q2 forecast review, and the decrease is mostly due to projects deferred or to be carried over the 26-27 delivery, and most of that is around Princess Park.
Very good, thank you, Councillor Akers. Councillor Brophy, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Ms. Ali. Very briefly, great to see that the full-year liquidity result is still being expected at about 178%. One of my barometers that I always go to see where we're still tracking on that. As Councillor Akers had pointed out, you know, we're projecting a full year adjusted underlying surplus of just over the $3 million mark. So things have been tracking along very, very well. We've only got 4 months left to the end of the financial year.
Any councillors like to speak against the motion? Any councillors for the motion? Vote all those in favour? Carried on opposed. Page 28, item 10.5, Victoria Lake Caravan Park land purchase. There is a recommendation. Can I have a councillor forward as a motion? Councillor Summer.
I'll move that recommendation as a motion, that the council, one, write to the Department of Transport and Planning, DTP in brackets, confirming council's intention to proceed with the purchase of the Crown land situated within the Victoria Lake Caravan Park VLCP bracket site. 2, approve the expenditure of $1.46 million to be funded from the Insurance Property Settlements Reserve. And 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to execute such documents as are necessary to give effect to this resolution.
Thank you, Councillor Summer. Can I have a councillor second that motion, please? Councillor Murphy.
I can second that motion.
Councillor Summer, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Sally. This has been a long time coming. Back in 2018, council embarked on acquiring Crown land around the caravan park because we were limited to a maximum 21-year lease. Investors indicated that a 21-year lease was not long enough to see a return. So the intention of this motion is to offer a much longer lease of over 50 years once we purchase the land. It's likely to attract development that lifts the caravan park into a 4-star tourist attraction that we cannot finance ourselves. Since so much time has lapsed, I would have liked to go back and test the market prior to locking in a land purchase of $1.46 million, but council remains confident this land will unlock investment. And after such a long time investing in this process, I'm tentatively willing to give this the benefit of the doubt, because the right investor could truly transform that pocket of Shepparton CBD to its full potential, with the family caravan park attracting interstate visitors and complementing SAM as a regional tourist attraction.
Very good. Thank you, Councillor Summer. Councillor Brophy, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Sally. Councillor Summer, spot on. This has been a long time in the making. Lots of legislation, lots to go through state government in order to get it, to be able to purchase it, to be able to have maybe a holiday park that we really want to have in there. The potential is unlimited in that sense, because the lease will be able to be a reasonable lease. Instead of less than 21 years, it could be up to 50 years if that's the case. But development needs to happen on that site. Really, we've been waiting for this in order to get to that stage. Still a few more steps to go. For those that are saying, is it going to affect our budget? Well, it really comes out of the Insurance Property Settlements Reserve. There is sufficient funds that complete the purchase of that from the government. So it's not impacting us greatly in that sense. As I said, we've been going since 2018 to get there. We're nearly there. This is really exciting. It's a bit of we are known as the Can-Do Council. When we start looking at some of the things, and I know previous councils have been on this journey as well, but with Kidstown, with GV Link, Princess Park, and now the Victorian Lake Caravan Park, just one of the number of things that we can tick as we're going along.
Very good, Councillor Murphy. Any other councillors like to speak against the motion? Any councillors like to speak for the motion? A few words, and just obviously, Councillor Brophy and both Councillor Summer have highlighted the journey that we've been on. This provides us a really good strategic opportunity with this parcel of land, acknowledging that we don't really have, I guess, an investment taking place down at the Vic Park caravan area that is one of a significant regional city that you would see elsewhere. So I'm excited now to see what opportunities might present for our region, and knowing that, it sits in an unbelievable precinct. So finally, very, very close to making it a reality where we can then dictate the future of that precinct. So exciting time. So good work to everyone involved behind the scenes for that long journey that it's taken to get to this point. Any other councillors like to speak to the motion? No, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? Motion carried on opposed. Page 32, item 11.1, River Connect Implementation Advisory Committee, appointment of community representatives. There is a recommendation. Can I have a councillor put that forward as a motion, please? Councillor Trelford.
Yeah, Mayor Sally, I'd like to move the recommendation on page 32 that the council appoint the following 5 community representatives to the River Connect Implementation Advisory Committee for a period of 3 years. Bruce Cumming, Rod McLean, Jim Salmon, Christine Tamashi and Tina Thompson.
Thank you, Councillor Trelford. Can I have a councillor second that motion? Councillor Brophy.
Second that motion, Ms. Sally.
Councillor Trelford, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thanks, Mayor. been operating for 20 years and has achieved a number of substantial environmental and social impact outcomes in the community. The success of the program is embedded in the governance structure and partnerships between land management and agencies, education providers, environmental advocates and the community. The River Connect Implementation Advisory Committee provides that guidance and governance structure. The current terms of reference designates 20 representative positions, including up to 5 community members, ensuring long legitimacy for the program. Officers recommended that Bruce Cumming, Rod McLean, Jim Salmon, Christine Tomachi and Tina Thompson be appointed as the community representatives on the River Connect Implementation Advisory Committee for a period of 3 years. So just to add to that, we've got Bruce Cumming and Rod McLean, who are second term or continuing term on that committee. We've got the new ones of Jim Salmon, Christine Tomachi and Tina Thompson. In a town where we've got a footprint which is blessed with the river, there's a lot of things goes on in the river here and a lot of community events, a lot of educational programs around schooling and that type of thing. So it's a very important part of the Shepparton area. It's also been recognised in an Ernst & Young report in 2014 that fishing actually helps mental health. So fishing in the area is a big part of this community, and just belonging to the river environment on our visitations and even our economic outcomes in this area when people visit this area. So it's a win-win situation, and under the guidance of this committee, there's a lot of things happening in the Shepparton area.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Sally. This is a very important advisory committee. Councillor Trelford explained it very, very well. It is a 3-year term for the committee members, which is great. So it's really important to get the right people on appointed, and I do congratulate those, including a work colleague in Tina Thompson, who's on that as well. So congratulations, team, but also to Bruce, Rod, Jim and Christine, and I'm sure they'll know where to get their fishing gear if they need to go along and get some.
Very well, thank you, Councillor. Any councillors like to speak against the motion? Any councillors like to speak for the motion? We'll grab the vote. All those in favour? Motion carried on the program. Councillors, page 36, item 11.2, texture of precinct structure plan staging. Councillor Brookfield. Yep. So councillors, page 36, item 11.2, texture of precinct structure plan staging. There is a recommendation. Can I have a councillor put that forward as a motion, please? Councillor Schubert.
Thank you, Mr. Sally. I move the recommendation, I'll read it out just so there's no misunderstanding, that the council, 1, note that the Tatura precinct structure plan has reached the stage where 2 of the precincts, being the Midland Highway precinct and the Pike Road precincts, A and B, are ready to progress to the next phase of strategic planning work. 2, endorse the stage progression of the Tatura precinct structure plan to enable unconstrained precincts with formal Goulburn Valley Water, GMW, drainage outlet to continue to progress.
Sorry, Councillor Schubert, can I just hold you there? Goulburn Murray Water, you said Goulburn Valley Water?
Sorry, my mistake. Sorry, I'll retract that. Goulburn Murray Water, GMW, drainage outlet to continue to progress. 3, endorse the Merton Road precinct being temporarily excluded from further progression of the Tatura precinct structure plan due to identified drainage and flood constraints, including no formal drainage outfall. 4, support the further progression of the Merton Road precinct pending completion of an updated flood and drainage investigations. 5, request officers to report back to council on future progression of the Merton Road precinct once the required technical investigations are completed.
Thank you, Councillor Schubert. Can I have a councillor second that motion, please? Councillor Wickham. Councillor Schubert, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Mayor Sally. I note in the public gallery today, people that are affected, either adversely or positively affected by this motion, are in attendance today, and I appreciate their attendance. I really, really do. And I'll be relatively short in my speaking to the motion. This motion provides endorsement to allow the Tatura precinct structure plan to progress in a staged manner. There are 3 precincts: Midland Highway precinct, that's to proceed; Pike Road precinct, that precinct to proceed; Unfortunately, due to the need for a contemporary flood modelling to be completed, unfortunately, one of the precinct structure plans in terms of the Merton Road precinct could be considered and cannot go forward. And all I would add, it's wonderful to see some work in the development of the Tatura region. Thank you, Mayor Sally.
Thank you, Councillor Schubert. Councillor Wickham, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thanks, Mayor Sally. This is exciting for Tatura. Obviously, there's been across Greater Shepparton several precinct structure plans. Unfortunately, someone has to come towards the end, and I suppose this is a desire of the council to progress the Tatura precinct structure plan. Obviously, as a whole, it's exciting for Tatura to see the precinct structure plan progress. What has been debated amongst councillors and council is the need to create a whole of precinct approach and to see the best outcome for Tatura. It's been pleasing to see that the council are very willing to commit to working with all parties to make this plan come to life sooner rather than later. Obviously in Greater Shepparton and most places there is pressure on development and lots to be made available. And so it's exciting to think that this motion does allow all parties within the precinct structure plan to now engage in a collaborative way with council and a constructive way with council, and to see the outcomes for Tatura that we know will make that community continue to thrive and prosper and give all it does to Greater Shepparton on the whole. So I think this is exciting for Tatura.
Thank you, Councillor Wickham. Are there any councillors that would like to speak against the motion? Yeah, okay. Yeah, any councillors like to speak for the motion? Councillor Summer?
Thank you, Ms. Sally. I have to agree with the CMA. Merton Road does require further work before it can proceed, and proceeding without due diligence will place council and the developers at significant risk and inevitably be knocked back by the minister without the CMA approval. And as the motion states, as the report states, there are depressions in that area that cause significant flooding, and there's no formal drainage outfall in that area. Our councils have a really tough task because we've got to balance developer interests with these long-term outcomes. And I'm very aware that this decision may disappoint some people, but council's not in the business to hold back appropriate developments that are ready to go. And Merton Street isn't there yet, but we will work with developers with goodwill to complete future stages in a timely manner. And I hope that the impacted people understand that it would be unfair to disadvantage unconstrained sites that are not within a flood overlay and do have formal drainage outfall. So I do support the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Summer. Are there any other councillors that would like to speak against the motion? Any other councillors like to speak for the motion? Councillor Troffel?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Sally. The reason why I'm speaking here at the moment is because point 3, endorsement of the Merton Road precinct being temporarily excluded, but to my understanding that this is only a temporary move and that this motion does not impede other developments within the Tatura footprint, and that the development of any other plan is covered by any future planning in reference to flooding and drainage in the near future, and that and I'm of the belief that the council will work with the Merton Road precinct developers to successfully upgrade their plan to what seems to be something within alignment that they can proceed as well.
Councillor Troffel, are there any other councillors that would like to speak to the motion? Councillor Akers.
Thanks, Mayor Sally. I think we've all given it considerable time and thought as to how we proceed with this, but I guess the reason that I've become comfortable to vote in favour of the resolution as it stands today is being assured by the relevant authorities that proceeding with the Midland Highway precinct and Pike precincts with the current information will not impact Merton Road precinct regarding drainage and flooding. We've been assured that the Midland precinct drainage has no impact at all on Merton Road, and that it goes in a different direction, and as does most of the Pike Road drainage, so there is little impact. And as no formal drain, it's believed at this point that the Merton Road drainage will go in a different direction, or it will be set up separately. And going ahead with the other two precincts will not have an adverse effect on Merton Road development going forward. And on that basis, I'm happy to support the resolution.
Thank you, Councillor Akers. Are there any other councillors that would like to speak to the motion? Councillor Spinks.
Let's have a go. This is exciting. All along in creating the precinct structure plan is all a part of just the fact that we know that Tatura wants to grow, and we know that it needs to have development readily available. And this is the process or the steps along that process. We identified where and how we want Tatura to grow, and now we've hit the point where the important questions are being asked about how that development will form. And ultimately, what the conversation today is about water and where water will go. And in the Midland and the Pike Road precincts, there are already structures in place for the water to safely disperse. In the Merton Road precinct, unfortunately, that does not currently exist and will need to exist for development to move forward. And that's what this is all about. So all we're saying is that, and have been assured by the relevant experts, that the north and east precincts have the required infrastructure to make sure development there is safe for the communities and the homeowners that will move into those spaces, and that there is just a little bit more work done, needed to be done for the Merton Road precinct to the south before it can start putting, shovels into the ground. But all it really is about is making sure that our community, the community of Tatura, can safely develop, and that we know where the water will go. So while we are acknowledging that today's decision would cause a delay, it is only temporary. That development, I expect, will go ahead, and we are very supportive of that. But we have to make sure that that infrastructure and that consideration of the movement of water is in place before that proceeds for that specific precinct. But this is exciting for Tatura. This means we're getting very close to the growth and expansion of TAT, which I know they've been wanting for a long time. So it's good.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other councillors like to speak to the motion?
I will, Mayor Saley. I'll just quickly, I'll just say that the Merton Road precinct, basically these flood and drainage studies have to be done before it can proceed anyway, so it's really not holding up the project that much, in my opinion. Surely it's a short delay, but it has to be done anyway, so.
Thank you, Councillor Eddie. I'll just add some comments. Enough's been said around the table, and I appreciate the interest from both those in the gallery that are obviously sit within those precincts, or the properties within the precincts. And I guess the circumstance that we have in the information and briefings that we've had over this period of time is very simple, that the technical experts that we have in front of us to provide information around what is possible moving forward, acknowledging that this circumstance, which is noted within the recommendation, I'm sure the property owners would be aware of, the Merton Road precinct carries a number of constraints compared to the other parcels of land, and our priority is to progress as much as we possibly can at this particular moment without holding back the growth that we want to see take place in Tatura. But as Councillor Wickham noted, we would expect conversations to take place as soon as possible with those not only in the land being able to progress, but with Merton Road precinct and with our relevant executive team to understand how the studies required and the works required to progress happen as soon as possible. That's what we want to see take place. So other than that, if there's nothing else, councillors, all those in favour? Against? Oh, so I'll do that again. All those in favour? Against? You vote? Sorry.
I can't abstain from voting.
Abstain? There's a no. I'll just do that again. So all councillors, all those in favour? Against? Councillor Trelfall abstained. That carries as a no. Motion carried. Councillors, we go to page And then we'll get,
Mayor,
yeah.
Councillor Brophy.
Yep. Councillors, page 43, item 11.3, Congupna Growth Plan. There is a recommendation. Can I have a councillor put that forward as a motion, please?
That council note the preparation of the Congupna structure plan will be deferred pending completion of the flood study for the tributaries between the Broken River and the Broken Creek, including the townships of Congupna, Tellygroupner and Wunyu by the Goulburn Broken Catchment Management Authority.
Thank you, councillor Akers. Can I have a councillor second that motion? Councillor Wickham. Would you like to speak to the motion?
Oh, yes, it's disappointing we're at this point, but obviously it's, perhaps we could have identified some of this a bit earlier, but Congupna has been identified for future residential growth for Greater Shepparton Housing Strategy in 2011. It was then confirmed in 2019 in the Township's Framework Plan Review, and then this last year in the budget we included a funding study, and we've got partway into that. And obviously, when referred to the CMA, the flooding issues at Congupna arose, and it looks like I think this will be a bigger project perhaps than we thought, because I'm not sure that we're all that convinced that the flood levels through that district are quite right on some of the maps. Somewhere between 300 and 800 mils across the proposed land. So obviously we need to complete the flood study. As a council, I think we probably need to work hard to make sure this progresses quickly, because it not only affects Congupna, it affects Tellygroupner and all the way through, and we need to get this resolved so that we can progress with this this plan, plus other developments in that area. Completion date currently for this study is 2028, which is still 2 years away, and we should be looking to see if we can expedite that.
Very good. Thank you, councillor Akers. Councillor Wickham, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thanks, Mayor Sali. Yeah, this really does highlight the need for all authorities to work really hard together, and also with private investment to look at how we can open up areas of Greater Shepparton. As we see on the west, there's ample Goulburn Valley water infrastructure, sewerage, fresh water, and we do have in Greater Shepparton areas like Dookie, Congupna, Tellygroupner, that obviously are communities that do want to develop and grow. So this does highlight that opportunity for us to all work together in a collaborative way and see Greater Shepparton grow and prosper, because it's a great place to live.
Any councillors like to speak against the motion? Any councillors like to speak for the motion?
I'd just like to reassure the Congupna community that we are still proceeding with this growth. Like the last motion, our hands are tied until the flood study is complete, and believe it or not, that is all part of progressing this plan. I know they've been waiting over a decade, but my understanding is that consultation has been done with the Congupna community and that they are comfortable with the next steps. And I'm told that they are clear that this is just a pause, not a stop. And I'd like to thank the Congupna community for their patience in this matter, because bureaucracy can be.
Thank you, councillor Summer. Any other councillors like to speak to the motion? No? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? Motion carried on priorities. Page 48, signing and sealing, nil received. Page 49, item 13.1, councillor activities, February 2026. There is a recommendation. Can I have a councillor?
Yes. I'd like to move that the council receive and note the summary of the councillors' community interactions and informal meetings of councillors.
Can I have a councillor second that motion, please? Councillor Brophy.
Second that motion, Mayor Sali.
Councillor Schubert, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, just very briefly, thank you, Mayor Sali. Look, it's great to see, and sometimes we come in for some criticism, and this is about our lack of community involvement. This is one way of proving to the community about our involvement, and I think it's a very worthwhile document to at least visit on a monthly basis. So, and I would encourage all councillors to make sure they list all their activities, whether or not they're formal or not, so they can be included in the council activities on each monthly OCM meeting agenda.
Thank you, Councillor Schubert. Thank you. Councillor Brophy, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Sali. Just want to mention one particular event that was attended to by a number of councillors, and that was the Bermuda Specialist School Open Day that they had back in February, and it was excellently attended. It was absolutely at capacity. So is the school itself, and it's been, for those who don't know, formerly Verney Road Specialist School, has been separated into two campuses now, and the juniors. And this particular precinct was the old Wanganui Park Secondary College, and it's been reformed to be the Mira Specialist School under the tutelage of the acting principal, Jessie Whitaker. The environment's really been set there, and it's very caring, supporting environment, but also the pedagogical thought process in achieving what can be the best outcomes that students, and every one of them, strive to be the very best that they can be in a super school environment. Some terrific rooms and classrooms, and the way they've been set up is just superb. Unfortunately, the potential is still there because they are at capacity, and they've got waiting lists, and the remaining dormant buildings are still there, so they probably need some good state and federal funding to maximise what they can do there on that particular site. So well done to them.
Thanks, Councillor Brophy. Any other councillors want to speak against the motion? Any councillors want to speak for the motion?
Thanks, Mayor Sally. Yeah, I think this type of reporting is very relevant, but in some cases probably not relevant within the jobs and other things that we have on our plate that we deal with in our normal life, rather than council sort of duty sometimes. So a lot of times guys around the table are at different functions and bits and pieces, which might be a state function, federal functions, and then within their own business functions. So I'm sure we all endeavour to get to as many events as we can possible, but there are restraints on what we actually do to make a living outside of this. Thank you.
Good point. The other councillors like to speak to the motion? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? Motion carried, none opposed. Page 51, item 14.1, notice of motion 1/6, installing mobile CCTV cameras in Mooroopna Central Business District. There is a recommendation. Can I have a councillor put the motion, please?
I'll move that the council commence consultation with Victoria Police to assess the feasibility of installing mobile CCTV cameras in Mooroopna Central Business District.
Thank you, Councillor Summer. Can I have a councillor second that motion, please? Councillor Wickham. Yeah, Councillor Wickham. Sorry, did you put your hand up, Councillor Wickham?
Oh, yes.
You'll second that? Yep. Great, thank you. Councillor Summer, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mayor Sally. I want to make it clear from the outset that this is not simply a knee-jerk reaction to recent events in Mooroopna. Investment in crime prevention has been an ongoing conversation this term. CCTV was part of my election campaign, and I moved to Nottingham in February to review our Safer City camera network, February 25. A report came back to council in June, which was very robust, and I'd like to thank staff for that. And alongside that report was a motion stating that council will continue to deliver the Safer City camera network. However, since then I've been told there was limited enthusiasm from Vic Police and Council to immediately expand the CCTV program, but this was prior to events happening in Mooroopna. So rather than relying on the vibe in the room at the time, this motion gives that next stage a nudge. As it stands, there's 60 CCTV cameras across hotspots in the city of Shepparton, but none in small towns. Expanding the current system like for like would require significant investment in cameras, antennas, wireless connectivity and storage capacity, but an alternative strategy has been identified to provide mobile CCTV cameras. They can be positioned on a trailer and link into the network with lower costs. In fact, the council report from June states, historically, Victoria Police has supported the concept of mobile CCTV camera that feeds into the network, and this continues to be the recommended option for future expansion. Speaking more broadly, these tobacco wars are a looming scourge across Victoria, and we don't want them in Greater Shepparton. I inquired about whether it's in council's power to ban tobacco stores altogether, but local governments do not have that power. Tobacco stores are regulated by state government under the Tobacco Act 1987. Therefore, our only option as a council is assisting VicPol in surveillance. It's public knowledge the good people of Mooroopna have been subject to multiple high-profile crimes in relation to tobacco and often overlooked by government. Council can't directly control police resources, but we can control infrastructure to create a safer environment. And this includes street lighting, activated spaces and passive surveillance, often in the form of CCTV. I worked at the Mooroopna Medical Clinic for many years and can genuinely say Mooroopna is so much more than negative headlines. These residents are good people who deserve to live without fear so that their community can thrive. I do need to be very clear that moving this motion does not guarantee CCTV for Mooroopna, but it will ensure the matter is given proper consideration. Firebombing shops is not okay. It's beyond reprehensible, especially for a small community like Mooroopna. The anxiety and angst that these incidents cause is significant, particularly for small business owners. So I call on Mooroopna residents to please talk to each other, build strong community connections and have hope. If anyone is impacted, please speak to your local GP about counselling and have faith that it won't take long to feel safe again. I'd like to reassure the Mooroopna community that you are not invisible and you are not ignored. We see you, we hear you and we do care. So I hope everyone supports this motion for Mooroopna.
Thank you, Councillor Summer. Councillor Wickham, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thanks, Mayor Saleh. Yes, I'd like to thank Councillor Summer for her passion in this area regarding safety across Greater Shepparton, highlighting there has been some very unhealthy issues in Mooroopna. This is a great sign, council stepping up to be a good neighbour. Obviously, Neighbourhood Watch is part of our community and how we work together, and I think this is a great step in us working together to be good neighbours and look out for all the Greater Shepparton. Obviously, some of these tobacco stores are located across Greater Shepparton. Like Councillor Summer points out, technology continues to advance at a rapid rate, so it's a great time to look at how we can find new ways to keep an eye out. And I think the community of Mooroopna is definitely are thankful for Councillor Summer's passion about this. Thank you.
Councillor Wickham. Any councillors like to speak against the motion? Any councillors like to speak for the motion? Councillor Brophy.
Thank you, Mayor Saleh. Going back to June last year, there was the Safer City Camera Network review, which came towards council, and I spoke about that at the particular time. Contained in the report of that, which was tabled at the June ordinary council meeting, was that establishing cameras outside of Shepparton city area would also require additional storage infrastructure in secure locations such as police stations through wireless connections to the cameras. It further goes on to say that an alternative strategy would be to explore the feasibility of a mobile camera. So even though there are impediments to getting it up, particularly we're talking about Mooroopna at the moment, but it could be Tatura, it could be other locales within our municipality. These impediments, you know, given the escalation, particularly in the commercial area in Mooroopna and the ram raids, the break-ins, and that, I certainly support this notice of motion that's been put forward.
Thank you, Councillor Brophy. Are there any other councillors that would like to speak to the motion? Councillor Eddy.
Thank you, Mayor Saleh. I support this motion. I think it's a good first step. I think a better step would be a full-time police station, or even a state government that can actually find Mooroopna on a map would be quite handy too.
Thanks, Reddy. Are there any other councillors that would like to speak to the motion? We'll go. All those in favour? Motion carried unopposed. Page 52, item 14.2, notice of motion 2/2026, safety and efficiency improvements at arterial intersections on Benalla Road. There's a recommendation. Can I have a councillor put that forward as a motion, please? Councillor Summer.
Mayor Saleh, I will move that the council enter into discussions with the Department of Transport and Planning to investigate and consider safety and efficiency improvements at the following arterial intersections on Benalla Road, Midland Highway in brackets, Benalla Road, Midland Highway in brackets / Archer Street, Benalla Road, Midland Highway in brackets, St George's Road.
Thank you, councillor Summer. Can I have a councillor second that motion, please?
Second the motion.
Councillor Spinks. Councillor Summer, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, I would, thank you. It's pretty straightforward and simple, really. Costs us nothing, but I will mention the motivation behind it, because this new ward system, it's offered this fresh perspective on how to effectively make the biggest impact in a relatively small space. Shepparton CBD is arguably the most challenging ward because we inherited a lot of historical issues from even before my time. Arguably, these intersections are a clear example. These intersections are used by hundreds of commuters daily, and even blind Freddie can see they are completely inadequate. The situation has been made worse since consolidating Greater Shepparton Secondary College, so some may argue state does have a responsibility to facilitate improvements. Benalla Road is not a council road, so our only resource is to go cup in hand and ask the Department of Transport for funding and action. So I'll be clear again that this motion may not result in any definitive improvements, but it does mean we've done all we can to escalate the issue. So currently those intersections lack signage, it's not clear which lanes to use, people continually run red lights, and it's Armageddon during peak times. So let's not wait for a fatality before taking preventative action. I am not a traffic surveyor, but they're very large intersections. So budget pending, may even be room for a roundabout, which may greatly increase the flow on those roads and reduce driver frustration. Other solutions could be a turning light, better signage, or just clearer line marking further back from the first car in line. Obviously, there are many other areas in the CBD that do need attention. We're a growing city, and we're quickly reaching saturation levels that make current road infrastructure unmanageable. An example is I'd like to include Wyndham Street on that list because it may require expanded turning lanes because traffic banks into the main lane at peak times. But at the risk of diluting this particular issue, I'll save that one for another day, especially if we're successful. But in closing, there's no harm. Approach the Department of Transport to advocate for crucial road safety improvements in Shepparton CBD. For me, it's a no-brainer, and I hope you'll support the motion.
Councillor Spinks, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yep, absolutely. Even though I'm not sure anyone can actually afford to drive right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, these ones, they're just wacky intersection designs, and I think it would have worked, you know, however many years ago when they were put in there, but there's no denying that Benalla Road is a main arterial road into our city centre and increasingly out of our city centre, and Archer Street is becoming a main arterial road as well. The increase in traffic along Archer Street, even just in the last decade, has been phenomenal. And then St George's Road is so often used as a bit of an alternative to Archer Street as well. And then, as Councillor Summer has already said, you put on the other side of St George's Road the traffic moving through not only North Shep but from Greater Shepparton Secondary College. And on Archer Street there is now not only the Safeway complex, Woolworths complex, but the childcare and the 7-Eleven that are on the other side. These have become incredibly dense intersections that are being used by more people than have ever before, and that is only going to continue growing. So I think really it's kind of just time for them to be looked at. I think it's, yeah, I thank you for bringing this to the council's attention, even though, as you've pointed out, it's the Department of Transport's road, but it's our road to, it's our role to raise these issues when we're aware of them for our community. So I fully support this action being taken, and I know we've seen a number of accidents at the Benalla Road St George's Road intersection in the past few years, so it's definitely something, if not just from a movement perspective, from that safety perspective as well. These are really important intersections to be looked at. Thank you.
Any councillors like to speak against the motion? Any councillors like to speak for the motion? Councillor Brophy.
Thank you, Mayor Saley. Thank you, Councillor Summer, for bringing this forward. I've been conversing those roads for the last 30 years and driving, so you are right. There's new developments that have gone ahead, particularly down south, that are now using Archer Street as an arterial, and certainly St George's Road as well. I've never seen it so busy in all the time that I've been driving. Probably a few points I'd like to point out there. So the Benalla Road, St George's Road, High Street Road there, The predominant problem there is the northbound, traffic going northbound up St George's Road, either continuing through that intersection into Thompson Street, which is alongside the showgrounds, or turning right. Maybe a simple thing, the investigation may find, simple arrows might help that particular one. The Archer Street one is a little bit different there. Perhaps with that one, there is no right turn if you're southward bound into the supermarket, because that's where that holds up. If there's no right-hand turn in there and it becomes illegal, then they have to keep going. Even better, maybe block off that entrance to the supermarket altogether. That way you've got an even flow through the traffic there and just converts into that supermarket from the High Street end, both in and out that way. I don't work at Department of Transport, but when I look at it, to me, it's pretty, there could be some simple things that can alleviate in the short term and maybe a better strategy, as you're talking about roundabouts, etc., in the longer term.
You can let the Director of Infrastructure know you can have tomorrow off because we've sorted out what you need.
Thank you.
Councillors, is there anyone else who would like to speak to the motion? No, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? Motion carried, unopposed. Item 15, urgent business not included on the agenda. Is there any urgent business? 16, close the meeting.